Everybody. Today's guest is a special treat for all of you. I am so excited to finally have on the show Reverend Annie Bachelder. Annie is just an awesome human being, such an inspiration, such a positive flow of energy. You're going to love to meet her, and I can't wait to introduce you onto the show today. Annie is a master of Akashic channel, a master Akashic channel. So you're going to learn all about that. Like I need to learn all about that today. She owns her own business called Annie Channels, and you can find her at anniechannels.com. Annie helps others to have direct access to the wisdom in their souls, helping them to find an enlightened path and embrace the truth of who they really are. And that feels so lofty and such a huge goal and hard to understand. But Annie's going to come on today and she's going to break this down for us and show us how it's all possible for all of us to really have a truly enlightened path and a fuller life. So I'm excited. I've been waiting this for so long to have Annie onto the show, and welcome, Annie. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a treat and a half. And hello to everybody else who ensures with Erin. What a lifesaver she is. Sanity saver.
I have my role. Okay. So definitely part of the sanity, but I'm just excited, Annie, to have you join us. I know you and I have had some fun conversations before. We see each other around town, and I'm just excited to bring the work that you do forward and share it with my audience, and hopefully they can learn something and get some tools that can help them to live better lives. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. And in keeping with my purpose of reuniting people with their soul and hence with the divine, I'm going to open this event with a prayer, and it's a healing prayer. So you might even, while you're listening, just close your eyes and let the words wash over you or vibrate through you. I allow the limitless supply of divine love to flow through my heart, radiating throughout my whole body, a rainbow of colored divine light. I open to receive the miraculous healing that the divine angels who do their white magic on all the scars, emotional injuries, and the tissues disrupted over the years. This divine team sweeps away all that is released easily and effortlessly, all that blocks my experience of everlasting deep connection and trust in the divine. The rainbow of divine love and light pulses new life into my body, mind, and spirit. I seal this in truth by saying, Amen.
Amen.
Good.
That was pretty grounding for me. I feel like I run around my day pretty hyped up, and I'm like, oh, instantly I felt more relaxed and just felt myself breathing differently. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're so receptive. I love it. And you get the energy. That's the idea.
Absolutely. Well, Annie, I really want people to get to know you. I mean, you have so many achievements in this space of enlightenment, and I can't wait to share that with everybody. But I feel like it's always helpful to just take a step back. Tell us a little bit about your story. What's your background? How did you get into this? How did you land in the Bay Area?
Well, when I was 3, my family moved from the Redding area, Central Valley, to San Anselmo. And basically,
you've been here forever.
I moved away for periods of time, but I keep coming back.
And I get
it. It's my hometown, and I feel most comfortable here. And, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I went to what's now known as Archie Williams High School. I went to the San Anselmo Cooperative Nursery School. And
You
and
really are entrenched in this community.
exactly. And, I tried going to college. I was not really a match for college. That path just wasn't quite alternative for me enough. And, I grew up in the era of the Berkeley riots and, the burgeoning summer of love kind of outgrowth of all of that. And so, that sort of imprinted on who I am. And so I think I'm really pretty much a hippie at heart. And I
I
like
like it. I like it.
the
So,
groovy clothes and all that.
well, yeah, it sounds like, I mean, you really have you're basically a Bay Area native at 3 years old. I feel like you definitely get that ruling. And you told me, I heard earlier you have a daughter. So were you able to raise your daughter here in the Bay Area too?
Well, she comes to me via my second husband, who unfortunately he's now passed, but I'm still thanking him for connecting me with Lisa. And even though she's not my birth daughter, we have claimed each other as mother and daughter, and it's just a big fulfillment for me because I wasn't able to have my own children. And I even had 3 tubal pregnancies, a miscarriage, and an adopted baby I had to give back after 28 days. I mean, a newborn, everything like that.
So
Um,
traumatic.
yes, so she's really filling a hole in my little heart and all of that, and,
Isn't that so interesting though? I mean, when you think about enlightenment and just how people find each other and how things happen. I mean, Lisa coming to you, that was just meant to be, right? For you to have her in your
absolutely.
life and have that wonder. So how amazing, what an experience. So, you
Yeah.
know, I just wonder, I mean, so you're living your best life, you're in the hippie era, you're moving and shaking, you're loving life. I mean, how did you discover your calling? Like what happened? What
Well,
was the aha?
my older sister introduced me to a psychic therapist who lived in Corte Madera way back when. I was 17, I think. And I went there and she did a reading and some energy work for me that really helped me understand and it rooted in me the idea of Christ light flowing through you. And I understood energy to be different colors of light, different vibrations, and having different qualities and elements. And that really restored me after a surgery that I'd had to have for the first tubal pregnancy. And that just sort of got me pointing in another direction. And along the way, somebody introduced me to Sinea Roman and Dwayne Packer, and they are my spirit or have been my spiritual teachers for many, many years. Oops, I just dropped out the picture I was going to show you of them. They wrote the original handbook on opening the channel way
Okay.
back in the early 80s. And of course, when I wanted to do a class that they were putting on called Awakening Your Light Body, which was all about learning to sense energy and expand your consciousness and travel on consciousness and energy in the universe in a way that is good for your body, I had to learn how to channel as a prerequisite for that class. So I got
Wow.
their book and I sat in my kitchen with a blank a tape, a cassette tape, because they always recorded their readings on tapes. And so this was the era, right?
Right.
Uh,
I know, it was funny when you first started talking about it, I'm like, how did you take a course? Like, how did we do it? Right? Did you have to go there? You did it on
oh,
tape?
we had to go there. Oh, yeah, this was in person for sure. They would rent hotel rooms, hotel meeting rooms. And because there would be a good 40, 60 students at a time for these classes. They're quite well known and have set up quite a lineage of teachers and who are carrying on the work. And unfortunately, they're now deceased. I really miss them as teachers, but I can feel them in my energy. So I know that they're here tuning in now and then. But
Well, it was so great that they had you do the prerequisites, right? Because by doing that, you knew you were invested and really wanted to get something out of it, right? I mean, I feel like anybody who was there really put the work in.
well, I think not only that, but when you learn to channel, it is sensing energy, and it's allowing a being of highlight into your energy system in a way that you can kind of hear, see, know, feel this being of light in your body, and receive the messages and the words and the images that they're showing you. And it takes, mostly it takes trust and just setting self-doubt aside. What if I'm just making this up? I mean, I'm getting a past life. Is this really real? That
Ah,
it happens so often. I know it's really real.
right,
And that knowing how to channel sets you into the appropriate learning space, I think, for learning the things that were the esoteric programs that they were teaching,
right.
in awakening your light body. And
Incredible. This
and
has really been your life's work. I mean, you've been doing this forever. Did your sister do it with you, or she just introduced you to it and now you are on your way?
no, that was the last she did of really psychic work, or energy work of this nature. She's on her own path, but she did also, and she and my brother both did est and all that kind of stuff, and so did my best friend. And when I wasn't going to do it because my brother and sister suggested, I was like, nah,
Right.
we,
I
we
gotta do something different.
but when my best friend did it, I thought, well, she liked it. She's pretty sensible. you know?
Right.
um anyway, and all these things just sort of led me on the path of studying things through, a course or a week-long class or a weekend class or something like that, and then a lot of practice work in between. And I think practice is where it's at. It's, we're all beginners at any number of things, right? So why not give ourselves a break and be the beginner and learn new skills? Now, in
Right.
my case, that, caused me to trust myself in a new and different way. Not what this was saying, like my brain mind or the repetitive nonstop inner dialogue, but
Mhm.
oh, that comes from a different place, and it has a different feeling. It feels loving, it feels supportive, it feels non-judgmental, it feels spacious, it feels healing, instead of you should know better. Yeah,
Right. This guy's such a challenge, right? I like it down here a lot more.
it's much roomier and kinder
It
when it
really is.
comes from the
And
heart.
so, well, I know just this lifelong commitment really to enlightenment and openness and learning. And I know that you point, to really a higher purpose as a psychic, as a spiritual teacher, as an author. What's driving you that higher purpose? What's that all about?
Well, when I sat down to learn how to channel, the instructions in the book, Opening to Channel, said, ask for a high guide whose higher purpose was synonymous or harmonious with your personal higher purpose, and or your soul's higher purpose. And now I'm 30 when I learned to do this. Life is still kind of chaotic, not
Right.
terribly settled. It's on the way, but I didn't really know that I had a soul, and
Wow.
much less a higher purpose. Like, nobody had said, "Oh, Annie, your higher purpose is thus and so." Like, "Oh, good, somebody explained it to me." It was sort of something that was revealed over time,
The
and
process of self-discovery, really, right? You're just
yeah,
peeling it back.
and I was learning to channel, this was 1988. So this higher purpose was sort of like, "This sounds good to me. I mean, I can go with that." I didn't see anything wrong with it. And the feeling of Anubis, my guide, moving about my body or accessing my memories and my thinking and using my voice and words to express itself, felt harmonious. It felt peaceful. It was very quiet and easy to hear. And at first, my guide came through with like a a British Indian accent, sort of sing-songy. And I've since realized my personality needed that in order to distinguish between this was Anubis, this other stuff, that's Annie. I needed that
You
distinction.
needed that strong accent to distinguish who's who.
Yeah, who's talking? Who's running the show here?
What an experience. That's so funny too.
And of course, I just trust it, right? Oh, okay, great. And what was really interesting was that the things Anubis knew, I didn't. I'd be doing a reading
Really
for
opened your
somebody.
mind.
Yeah, and I say something like, I'm seeing a woman's red lipstick lips, but just this section of her face or this section of her face, and the rest is sort of black and white film noir, Greta Garbo lighting. And I'm reading for this gentleman. I said, does that mean anything to you? And he says, oh yeah. My mother would get up in the morning, put on her lipstick, then put on her bathrobe.
That sounds like my mom.
This was the order of importance, right? So that's the way she did it. And
She
it
was
was
on her deathbed and putting on her lipstick before anybody would see her.
exactly. And that was to cue me, okay, we're on the right track. Mom's energy's here. And then the reading would go from there.
That's incredible. I love
Yeah.
that.
And sometimes Anubis would use things from my memory. Like for one reading, I remember word for word the writing beneath a picture in a Time magazine that I read at my best friend's mother's house once.
Wow.
And somehow that verbiage was just right for this person. Like,
so interesting.
And that's when I started getting the feeling like, okay, my guide, this guide uses everything in me. My body, because I would get like a twinge in my neck, but I'd be leaving and think, oh, my neck is twinging. What's the big deal? But after a while, when that happened, when I was doing reading, I started to say, do you have trouble with the kind of a twinging in your neck at this point? And they go, their heads are nodding. Yes, yes, yes.
You were actually feeling what they were feeling and you could connect with them at that level. That's unreal.
Right. So they were using my physical body as a part of the communication vehicle. And it wouldn't mean I had lasting neck problems because of that. I had an ability to create those on my own. But they were steering me in a particular direction. And it also made the person I was doing a reading for, especially since so many people they didn't know me in person or in particular. And they're like, who's this gal? Can I trust her? Oh, she's feeling what I'm feeling.
She's connected, very connected.
And it sets up that line of trust.
Oh, 100%. So, and then you can really do the work, right? You really get down to it. So
exactly.
I know you're an author, Annie. You wrote a book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, an Akashic Records Guide to Living a Fulfilled Life. Beautiful. So tell me a little bit about the book. How did you begin writing it? Tell me the story behind that.
So a friend of mine who works in the Akashic Records, and that's why I call myself an Akashic channel. I mean, I started as a channel, and then I ran into the Akashic Records in about 2013, and I started doing Akashic Records readings a lot because they're very, very, very tuned into the other people as souls. And that was in line with my purpose, right? And so this other friend of mine who also worked in the Akashic Records does these writing classes. And so I signed up for this writing class. And I thought, I'm going to learn how to write really compelling marketing so you'll want to take classes from me and get readings, and I will become a famous and wealthy psychic.
So how's that going for you?
I go to the first class where we're writing. She takes us through a little process to kind of turn off our inner critic, and I start channeling the first chapter of this book. And I'm kind of like looking around, going, Nobody told me we were writing a book. When did this come up? I didn't get the memo. And I just kept going with it because it was so clear. And for this writing class, every time I sat down to write, whether I was in the class or outside the class, I would get another chapter or the remainder of, if I only got the first half of the chapter, I didn't have a lot of time to write. I finished the chapter and it would be the same. And it just kept coming and coming.
It was meant to be.
And I ended up with 52 chapters, which my blessed beta readers helped me cut down to size to 40. I mean, it's a real book. It's not like your little, 30-page ebook. This is, 152 pages of interesting and useful and applicable text that teaches people how to open their Akashic records and receive.
What is an Akashic record? Can you give us a little definition of that?
We'll backtrack a little bit. The Akashic records are a soul level plane of consciousness in which every thought, word, and deed is recorded. It's a very fine plane of energy that all these subtleties, like a feeling of discomfort or how it felt to lie and be out of integrity with yourself, or why did you say that to somebody to push them away? What was that about? All of these things are recorded in the Akashic records. The Akashic records hold everything that has happened, is happening now, and has the possibility of happening. We are creating our possible future every minute by every thought, deed, and word that we speak or take in our present moment. That's what's creating our future. So the future isn't a fixed thing. It's an ever-changing thing. And that's
something we can shape, right?
Yes. And that's why sometimes people wake up and one day, or like for me, I came out of a meditation one day and I thought, everything that I eat that and contains wheat or sugar makes me feel bad. I'm just going to see what happens if I stop eating wheat and sugar. And you know what? That was the opening, part of the opening to me getting over having multiple sclerosis for 20 years.
Wow, that's unreal. I want to learn more about the MS because I feel like that's just such a big piece of anyone's story is health concerns. But before we do, will you share with everybody where they can get an autographed copy of your book?
Oh, yes. You can get this by either texting me at 415-846-2412. That's my phone. Text me that you want an autographed copy, and we'll set up your info so I know where you're located, where to mail it to you. Or if you're local, sometimes I'll just drop it off, and like that. But usually, this is my thing is, not only do I autograph it, I channel a little 1 or 2 line message specific for you inside the book.
That's amazing. I love that.
And I channel a lot of little messages for the back stock of books that I have. And it's amazing how people will pick them up and they'll go, oh, this is perfect. This is just what I need. And like I say, what the guides know, what I didn't know, the guides know.
Right. And it just people listening, this is like that first step, and having your mind open, and then having an opportunity to make your life better, to shape the path. I love it. So text Annie 415-846-2412. You can text her and say, hey, I need a copy of that book. Here's my address, and she'll give it to you. And of course, you can always go to her website, www.anniechannels.com. So that is a great way to reach Miss Annie here. So now I wanted to take us back a second, Annie, because, health concerns, they sort of trump everything else, right? When your health gets attacked, rich or poor, whoever you are, it it doesn't discriminate. And I know you were diagnosed with MS in 1990, but you were just pointing to the fact that you stopped having these MS attacks in 2020, 2020 in 2010.
Right.
And I know that there's some things, some self-help that you were able to give yourself with diet and other things that have really helped you heal from an incurable disease. So can you share a little bit of that story and what has helped you?
Right about that time, a lot was going on that was removing things that caused me health issues from my life. One was stopping eating wheat and sugar. Those two things I allowed me to be able to grocery shop for myself, which I hadn't been able to do for a while because I'd go into the grocery store and the light was odd. My vision was bouncy. I couldn't see what the price was, much less the ingredients. I couldn't. It was very, very difficult to grocery shop. It was just hellacious, and most of the time I was hungry when I needed to go to the grocery store, and I'd just get something to eat and fill myself up, and I'd think, "Oh, I'll go back later," and then I was too tired to go back. So this was like the cycle. So at the same time, I was getting up in the morning and I was drinking my green tea and reading spiritual books by Joel S. Goldsmith. And he is a now dead Christian mystic. I think he died in 1962 or 1963, but he was prolific. I think he probably wrote in excess of 20 books. And he was a healer. He brought a dead dog back to life, and his way of explaining biblical concepts and the nature of the Christ, Jesus the Christ, make me understand what was possible. Like when in the Bible it says, "This you shall do and more." In my experience, it's true. It's like personally, and it happens. Every now and then the things just link up and healings happen. And the reading was very difficult for me at that time because my bouncy vision. And I would read the top line in a paragraph, and then I couldn't wrap around and get line two. And so I'd read the top line about 4 or 5 times, and then I'd finally get my eyes to line two. And by the time I got to the end of line two, what was the premise? What was on line one? What are we talking about? And it was very slow going, but a lot of repetition. And I think that just allowed the energy and the healing to soak into me or work through me. And at the same time, my best friend's family reminded me that maybe I should go see this Tibetan healer. He's a Tibetan man, Lobsang Dondup. He works out of Encinitas, California. And he's a Tibetan physician. He's a Tibetan man trained in traditional Tibetan healing methodology. And he prescribed herbs that are grown and processed into different combinations for different purposes. And also a special diet for me. And, he said, he diagnosed me with a damp heat condition, which didn't really make sense to me, but it made me kind of feel like, that feels about right. Kind of a little swampy, thick, moving through mud, my brain was a little clotted up, sluggish. I had brain fog a lot because of the multiple sclerosis and all that. But so I started working with him, and I really, I was immaculate about eating just to that diet. And over a period of no more than about 14 months, I went from being disabled and needing caregivers to help me do my laundry, shop,
Act of daily living, you just weren't getting by. Yeah.
Activities of daily living is the sentence. That's exactly it. And within 14 months, I was going, Annie, do you want to be well? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready now. Because, the personality can get accustomed to that identity, the
Right.
unwell identity. I'm a
You
sick,
had to put your mind there and then do the steps
and
also.
it was really having a conversation with my innermost self, like, "Are you ready to give up the special card? Oh, I get to park in the blue spaces, I don't have to clean up after the family party because 'cause I'm too tired,
Mhm.
I'm the sick person in the family." All these little, like, exemptions, right?
Right.
And, I had and part of the conversation was, "Well, you might have to get a job." I was like, "I haven't had a job." I'm
Am I
always
ready for this?
I'm always kinda self-employed doing secretarial from home before I got completely disabled, it was like, "Oh, geez, a real job." And I went, "You know what?"
Sometimes getting better is scary, right? Because it's a whole change and you
Ex
had to go through all that and to make the decision,
Right.
right? So
So I did, I got a Christmas job.
congratulations. That's amazing. What a story. I love that. And it's just such a combination of opening your mind. And then I do think there's this huge like food body connection and different things you eat can affect so many illnesses. So being open to doing that and is, you really brought it full circle. That's incredible. And I see you around town. You don't look like you're going through anything, right? Except for joy. And that's amazing. So congratulations on giving yourself a rebirth, basically.
Well, yeah, and it was really giving myself permission to be a well person again,
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
and doing what was necessary to accomplish that,
Yeah, that's
and
unbelievable. Congratulations. That's unreal. So, well, I mean, we talked a little bit about what it is about, what is the Akashic record. You yourself, your title, so to speak, is Akashic channel. When you talk about the channel, I mean, tell me a little bit about what that means. I'm gathering that you're connected and you can help bring a person there. Can you tell us a little bit more about your method and how you do that?
well, that's the one thing I like about this book is it teaches you how to open your own personal soul's Akashic record. And it's a great way to get information from the being that programmed you, that formatted you for love and health, and who invited, yes, that person to be your mother, sister, brother, father, bad guy into your life. And what was the higher purpose? And how did your soul why did your soul think that was going to help you evolve into a greater and greater oneness with your soul and with the divine? And so, chapter 2 teaches you how to read your Akashic records. Who are your masters, your teachers, and your loved ones in your Akashic records? Now, the masters, teachers, and loved ones. Masters are beings of light that come to your side when the divine takes a piece of her light and creates a point of consciousness and a soul known as you. And these beings of light come to your side and they're with you throughout your soul's journey from beginning to whatever happens way out, west, right? Um, and these beings love you. They're masters. They're big light beings. They're not just some, you know, never mind. They're not small, and they are effective and they love you. Teachers are lesson specific. And I would say, maybe you need a teacher for love or money or time or guilt or, whatever the thing is, the topic is. They can be a teacher for any topic. Loved ones are people you have known in this lifetime who are now dead. And so if you want mediumship work from your family psychic, which I hope to be, and then when we open your records, it might be a great time to talk to your loved ones who are now dead, or ask certain questions of even the ancestors, the people in your lineage. What were you thinking when you invented this thought pattern that everybody's kind of been stuck with and suffering under? And what's the best way to release that?
Does everybody need this, Annie? Like, I think about, how does this help people? And when I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, gosh, doesn't this help everybody? Like, I mean, would you agree with that? And, what would you point to as your biggest success stories? Like, who does this work for?
Well, the people who like this work, who are interested in spirituality and spiritual growth, and maybe even increasing consciousness to a point where there's more freedom to choose, to make better choices, to make more aware choices, to have more peace of mind. This is one way to do it. It's not the only way. Of course, there are as many ways to heaven as there are human beings and souls to go with them. Believe me,
Right.
and all paths lead to the divine version of Rome. And, but this is a focused setting. And one of the things I like about it is you open your records with a prayer. Now, we opened the show with a prayer, and it kind of put us in a space. It sets the
Right.
energy for the interaction and the knowingness to come through.
100%.
And this evokes the Akashic beings of light, who are my guides in the Akashic Records. It evokes the great creatress, which is the name for that the Akashic beings of light call the divine feminine.
I love it.
And it evokes your particular masters, teachers, and loved ones. And we have opened your records with your legal name, like what's on your driver's license or your passport right now. Not your birth name or the name you had before you got married, or when you were married the first time and not the second time. It's just like right now, what's on the driver's license right now. And and that prayer changes your consciousness. It elevates your consciousness into the Akashic Records, which are governed by 3 principles: judge not, resist not, and fear not. Now, just take any given moment and you take out judgment, you take out fear, and you take out resistance. What are you left with? The moment.
Yep, exactly.
And none of this clutter and and what if, all that's gone. And so it brings you into the present moment with your soul and with helpers in your Akashic Records. And then at the end of the reading, we close your records with a little closing prayer. And this alone sets a nice container that's very safe and kind and respectful. And the voice of your soul, because it comes through, and this is true for your masters, teachers, and loved ones. It comes through as kind, loving, respectful, dignifying, elevating, understanding, accepting.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds absolutely wonderful. So now I want to ask about some, Annie, like I had read something and I just wanted to know a little bit more just out of curiosity. And maybe this is related, maybe it's not, but real estate readings, what are those? And how are those useful?
Well, this is one of the ways that you can use the Akashic Records in very diverse ways. You can open the Akashic Records of your home, your office, your department. If you work in a big company, you can open the records of your car, your motorcycle, your boat. You can open the records of a piece of raw land.
Wow.
You can open the records of the Grand.
Literally real estate.
You could open the records of the Lincoln Monument, because it's a public monument. And you can open the records. I've helped people move lots and lots of times. They're looking to buy a house or rent a place. And so as long as it's on the open market and it's not just like, hey, my best friend's brother's cousin is going to getting his house ready to sell. Do you want first shot at it? You know, if it's just it's not on the open market, I'm not supposed to open the records of it, but I can open the records of any place that you might rent or buy. And what I look for is the emotional tenor of the house, the feeling the house gives me. What kind of person does this house like to sponsor and uplift or support and bring to life? What is the house's higher purpose, and does it mesh with the person who's looking to buy or rent? And does it have any? I was raised by contractors and builders. My dad was a math teacher at Redwood High School all his life, and he built our house in San Anselmo, and he also, yeah, on the weekends and during the summer and like after school. And we had to sweep or help nail shingles or pick, unload truckloads of lumber. We were.
This sounds a little bit like my childhood. I'm relating to this. A lot of work stacking in my life.
A good work ethic was instilled in me early. So I have a sense of what construction is about and how things are come together and the wiring. I was married to a contractor, first marriage, and electrician, second marriage. Like this is a thread through my life. And so I look at if there are any construction defects or troublesome areas. Maybe there's a leak in the toilet or under the sink somewhere, or there's something's running down a pipe in the inside of that wall, or was there a mold problem at some point? I can feel that energy. I can also sense the land underneath the house, or where this even apartment building was built, and what was it like before Caucasians and the rest of us got here and took over from the Native Americans? Were there Native Americans that camped on this property, or did they travel through it, or what was it known for? Really interesting. Here's a good example. A woman came to me for a reading on her house because she didn't understand why she didn't get along with the house. She didn't get along with the neighbors. It's like
just not the right vibe.
It was not. And there was like no peace for them to have in this house. And I discovered that there was a big rock in the basement, in the foundation, underneath the house, and the house was sitting right on top of it. And it was up in the hills overlooking the valley of like maybe the hills above Atherton Avenue in Novato, overlooking the valley below. And a Native American man would sit up there and watch the sun rise or set and have conversations with the spirits and the ancestors or whatever. And it was his place of connection and cogitation. And we put a house on top of it.
On top of his rock.
Yeah. And he was upset. And I asked, what was it going to take to put this being at peace so that the house can settle and can do what it's here to do, which is sponsor a home, a family, or some people, and to live well and healthy and at peace in life. And he just said, somewhere in the house, there had to be a feather or a picture of a famous Native American or something where the history was honored. And that was done, and things settled down.
That's amazing. And so it really turned around after that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I know people are going to be excited about getting to know you, Annie, and reading your book, and just potentially having a session with you would be amazing. Do you have a special offer for my audience in mind?
I do. I actually have two of them. The first one I really, really want you to take a look at is there's a chapter 15 in my book is called Living as Your Soul. And at one point when I was writing this book, the guide said, living as your soul is the priority now. And this came to me to be a class. And so I turned it into a Living as Your Soul writing workshop. And it's a 7-week course. Wow. And it happens 2 hours on Tuesday nights, starting August 5th through September 16th. Now, the normal price for this class is $625. And I teach you how to open your records, how to hear your soul, how to quiet the inner critic who says, you can't really, that's not, how do you know that? So we shut that down and we get you talking one-on-one, heart to heart with your soul. And we ask really good questions because in the Akashic Records, questions are the can openers to energy and information, because that's the nature of the records. It's energy first, information second. But as long as you can write and describe what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what it seems like, it sounds like, I'm getting the sense that, or my sense of knowing is making it seem like this. And you write and you get information from your soul, and it totally transforms people's relationship with themselves and their soul, because they know that they and their soul are in partnership. And one thing that this book really makes clear is that when you are unified with your soul, even if it's for a fraction of a second, it automatically links you with the divine. And in that's that wonderful feeling of oneness and belonging and at homeness and peace. And who doesn't need that now?
We all do. To register for your special offer, you can go to Annie's website.
And you get this class instead of for $625, you get it for $450.
So just because if they mention Black Point Insurance, they're getting it for $450. So that's a good deal, everybody. www.anniechannels.com. And Annie, when they reach out to your website and they sign up for the class and they get this special rate, I know it starts on August 5th. Is this an in-person class? Do you do it online? How does it work?
Zoom. It's all on Zoom. And
perfect.
I send you
accessible no matter where anybody is, they can do it.
I send you a copy of the recorded class so you can review since we're writing on a lot of questions, when you have a recorded class, that way you can stop and review, or maybe you didn't have enough time to write down some other details and you wanted to revisit this, you get to do it again. That way you're getting a lot of value out of more than just Tuesday nights for 2 hours. And you get me. There's a lot, you can ask me questions. Like, I was experiencing this and it felt like that, but what does this mean? Or how should I, approach this? Or where do I put this in my knowingness? Or,
where does this go? Right? So yeah, I love it.
The other offer I want to make is that my normal rate for doing one-on-one readings on Zoom is $254. I will do a reading for you for $50 off, so $204.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. And how long are readings normally? How long of a time commitment is that?
They're supposed to be an hour, and I run a little bit over, not a lot, a little bit over it. My shrink is always like, at 50 minutes, she has the 50-minute hour, and like, no matter what, like, you will die. I'm not like that. It's like, there's a natural completion point in the reading. So,
yeah.
You
That's
know,
wonderful. I love it. So thank you so much, Annie, for making the special offers to our audience. Reach out to Annie at anniechannels.com if you would like a autographed copy of her book. If you're local, she can hand deliver. The amazing book here, 415-846-2412 is Annie's cell number. You can text her and tell her you want an autographed book, a copy of the book, give her your address. You guys can work out the payment and get started on your journey to enlightenment. So, Annie, if you were to leave us with a take-home message today, right? I mean, you've led a full spiritual life. You continue to bring it forward and pay it forward. What message would you leave us all with today?
I would leave the message from my guides that says, approach yourself with love. Approach yourself with kindness. Approach yourself with forgiveness and acceptance, because you have the opportunity at any moment to drop the dragging stories that bring you down from the past, whether the past was 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, 5 lifetimes ago. Approach yourself with love. And if you're having trouble with that, contact me, because believe me, I can help you.
Annie, you are wonderful. Thank you so much for joining today. This was so enjoyable. I can't wait to have a one-on-one session. I'll see if I can get into that class because it's right before open enrollment. Get that in. This is really exciting, so I can't wait to be a part of it and share it with our audience here. So thank you, Annie. I appreciate your wisdom and your guidance and your openness to being with us here today. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you all for being with me, and thank you for your open-mindedness. This is a little left of center.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Erin. Bye now.